After a week off for spring break, your Alabama football Crimson Tide back. Full swing, spring practice here on a Monday. Getting that work week started off for you correctly of a number one form for your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now and hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done so, smash subscribe right now so you can have all that you crave on Bama football. Also, don't forget to leave a like on the show. Give us that thumbs up. Run those likes up. Hit that like button. Make this your show, your channel, your network, platform, and space to talk Bama. Be sure to turn all of those notifications on. Hit that little bell so that way you miss no alerts when talking your football program. We also got you covered here on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming to you the show. We got an awesome show tonight as got some new information, different information on your Crimson Tide. Bryce Young and Will Anderson, the quarterback and outside linebacker, both spoke to the media today. Practice got back started today in full swing. Spring ball in the air, so a lot to discuss, a lot to get in the conversation about, and we want to hear from you, the Tide Nation, tonight. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358, and I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. The daily Super Chat goes $75 daily. Super Chat go. Appreciate the love coming from all of you guys. And Jimmy Clay, Jimmy the Batman, Cashman Clay, who celebrated a birthday on yesterday, is already getting us started here with a $25 donation. The Super Chats. Appreciate the man Jimmy Clay helping us out here. And we got back by popular demand on Monday. You know what time it is. It's Patrick P. Money Down time. Pat, you back in here. Spring ball back in full swing. You were sitting in on the player interviews today.
Yeah, I know it was good. It's good to be back in there. I know they had a week off for spring break, but, spring football full swing now, going full steam ahead to Labor Day.
Absolutely. So going to be fun here to watch all of these position groupings, position battles, offensive and defensive side of the ball. Coach Saban and the rest of the staff having that identity in pocket here for spring football. So as we look at this here, Will Anderson spoke today as we jump into right now topic number one of the conversation. I know normally with Pat here, we like to break down the positional groupings, and we would be starting on defense today, but with more information, we want to look at just what's been put out and breaking this thing down. So with spring practice back here in full swing, spring ball back in action here, coming off a week of a break, Coach Saban and the Crimson Tide, Will Anderson spoke today about how he looks at this defense as being much better than what it was last year, as fearsome, as ferocious, as we're going to be flying around, hitting guys in the mouth, making plays, making tackles. Guys fully understand that football needs to be the most important thing around here. He sort of ironed out all the leaders here on this team back defensively. And just, for you, Pat, hearing Anderson speak today as a junior, frustration early on in the campaign where there were some guys that took their roles seriously, other guys didn't take them as seriously. They kind of had to grow into what they would be defensively. But just hearing Anderson speak today, so much vigor, so much passion, so much excitement about he knows, the team knows defensively what it could be in the upcoming season, starting off in spring ball. I mean, just you being there, Pat, could you feel the excitement off Anderson's voice, knowing that he knows this defense could be a whole lot better than what it was last year?
Well, I think you always feel what Will Anderson is speaking about, because he's a very intense guy. I mean, just looking at last year after that Texas A&M loss, how distraught he was at that press conference. He wasn't even days
he was
after.
not happy at all.
He wasn't over.
I felt like he was going to come at me.
Yeah, no, he wasn't over at all, and even days afterwards. So I think he's a very intense player, and I think he said that he wanted this team's identity, this defense is my identity, to be mean. So I think whenever you go into a year, you think like playing was like reckless abandon, it was kind of anger, but at the same time, under control, which is what Will Anderson really plays like when he's out there. I think just embodying the identity of himself on this defense is it's pretty good. Yeah.
Now, I mean, with the guys returning here, Pat, because you look at this, Jordan Battle could have went pro, decided to come back. Henry To'o could have went pro, decided to come back. DJ Dale came back. Byron Young came back. DeMarco Helms came back also. And when you have those guys back with other guys on this roster who have experience here on this defense, how mean can this group be? How elite can this group be? Because I know as fans, people have to say, well, I miss the Alabama defense that was shutting folks down, kicking butt, taking names, not letting teams score. And though Coach Saban has said, well, you can't really shut teams down nowadays. And though a lot of people have talked about this is a different age in college football, offenses are taking over. But in the minds of Crimson Tide fans, it's still, but can it still be a time where this Alabama defense can get some of that elite play and dominant play and ferocious play back in Tuscaloosa, just based off of hearing Will Anderson? Can this group be a nasty group?
Well, I think they can. I mean, they're returning a lot of players from a year ago, and last year they were the 7th-ranked defense in the entire country. So, I mean, by the number standards, being a top 10 defense in all of college football, I think they were technically elite last year. I know they had some bumps in the road. I know people point to the second half of the Florida game, the A&M game. The Arkansas game wasn't great either. But, I mean, when you look at Alabama's defense down the stretch of last year, especially when it started in the Iron Bowl, I know the offense was the story of that game, how ugly it looked, but the defense really stepped up in a lot of moments. And the following game against Georgia as well. I think they really played well down the stretch. And they have a ton of players returning on that side of the football. So, I mean, there's no question this group could take even another step this upcoming season.
Well, it all starts, Pat, with coaching, and Coach Saban made some moves here in the offseason when you discussed bringing in Travaris Robinson from Miami to coach cornerbacks. He has a huge footprint in the SEC, played as a cornerback and safety at Auburn, coached at South Carolina, coached also we have Florida as well, so he's got a footprint in the SEC. Coleman Hutzler is in here coaching outside linebackers. Will Anderson talked about Hutzler having a lot of great energy, a lot of passion, a lot of strong vibes there of what he's bringing to the table. You've got Pete Golding back for a 5th year at Alabama, 4th year of calling defenses. Freddie Roach is back. Charles Kelly is back as the safeties coach. So just looking at this coaching staff defensively, what can you see it do in making sure that these players are prepared consistently to be that top 3 or top 5 defense and maybe pitch a shutout or two if it can? What do you want to see from this coaching staff, especially with the bulk of it guys that have experience back?
Well, I think these guys have their work cut out from them from the standpoint of developing depth, because even though they're returning a lot of starters from a year ago, there's still some guys behind some of these experienced guys that need to, take a few steps here, especially on the defensive line. I mean, that group losing Fadarian Mathis and LeBron Ray and some.
Mathis is a big deal too.
I mean, I think the defensive line's still good. They're still set with Dale, Boygby, Byron Young, those type of players. But what are we going to see from Stephon Wynn? He's been here, or Jamarian Latham, some of the guys who've been in the program for a little bit, or even Tim Smith. He's another guy who, really good pass rusher, but can he put it all together? And then when you look at the secondary, too, with Robinson and Kelly, I mean, they got to replace both their starting corners. I know Cooley McKinstry showed flashes of being really good last year. They picked up Elias Ricks from the transfer portal, but that's a group that really has also really got to figure it out from the standpoint of, they got to replace 2 starters from a year ago.
Now, of course, when you look at this linebacker room, the one guy that fans are excited about just as much as Will Anderson is Dallas Turner. And Will talked about that today. He and Turner had some bets there this past season, and Dallas Turner surpassed Will Anderson in a lot of categories from Will's freshman year in 2020. But with Dallas, now he's the guy. On the opposite side of Anderson, Turner, 30 tackles a season ago, 10 of those for loss, 8.5 sacks, 5 quarterback hurries. The last 4 games of the season, the young man from South Florida was just a menace. But the question becomes, how much damage can these two guys do together, especially now that we know that Dallas Turner is going to be a starter in the upcoming season, beginning with spring practice. It's just going to be fun to watch both of these two coming off the edge at the same time. How crazy can this really be?
I mean, it could be insane. It could be the best pass rush duo of all of college football if Dallas Turner continues to progress like he did last season. I think it was like every game he got a little better, until he was really a force on the opposite side with Will Anderson. I mean, I think we saw it in the Cincinnati game, line them both on the same side. I mean, they could be a serious
nightmare. That was unholy. Pat, do you know how sinful that really was?
I know, against Cincinnati too. I mean, an offensive line from the Bearcats that just really wasn't up to the task that day. But I mean, they could do some serious damage in the SEC too.
So, do you sense this? Could this be on the same level of? I don't want to say it, but going back to 2015 and 16, where you had Ryan Anderson and Tim Williams, and how great those two were coming off both edges, getting the quarterbacks. Does Anderson Turner have that same effect? Could it have the same effect in your opinion?
I think it could. Yeah, I definitely think it could. I think Anderson almost has as many sacks as the two of them combined by himself. Yeah. But I think Will Anderson's another guy who could still even get better from a season ago. He was, and that's a scary thing to think about in retrospect. But I mean, these two guys. The thing is that Dallas Turner is so young, and Will Anderson now has the experience that he does. I think that these two guys could really take a huge step this year.
Before we get into the secondary here, Pat, I want to go back to the defensive line because you mentioned having Dale back, Boyd be back, Byron Young, Jamarian Latham, Jamil Burrows, among other guys. But I guess the biggest thing that people want to see is where is that aggressive nose tackle? Where is that aggressive defensive tackle there in the middle that, Saban's been used to producing, whether that guy's a Marcel Darius or Deron Payne or a Quentin Williams, as of late a Christian Barmore, maybe more of an underrated guy like a Nick Gentry, guys that just keep on coming and keep on harassing you, non-stop motor from that nose tackle position, because when you have that guy, it makes everybody else's job so much easier when you have a nose tackle that can walk a center and a guard into the quarterback, or can just flat out stop the run, or even get after the quarterback by itself. So to you, do you think Alabama has that guy at that nose tackle spot that can rip up guys? Can DJ Dale truly be that guy? Is Tim Smith that guy? Do they have that nose tackle in your mind?
I mean, we're going to see. I don't know if DJ Dale is going to all of a sudden turn into Deron Payne, especially coming back for his senior year now.
Right.
I mean, I think he's fine. I think DJ Dale's a fine player. I know he gets kind of a bad rap from Alabama fans, but I think he's a decent player up there in the middle. But I think Tim Smith's really the kind of guy you can kind of see he had that sort of ceiling, maybe like a Christian Barmore type, to really get after the quarterback, but he just not finding his way on the field for the most part, because the defensive line was so deep throughout his entire career until now. So I think he's going to have a bigger opportunity this year to really show what he can do.
It's going to be fun to watch that D line. So now, Pat, as we flip to the secondary, here's a group here with Eli Ricks in here. Many people feel like, and I feel like myself, he will man down one of two cornerback spots. Coach Saban does not bring you in here from the transfer portal, especially with SEC experience, if he did not feel like you could start or add value to the team. So the other corner spot is going to be very interesting because you got Kool-Aid McKinstry, you've got Kyrie Jackson, you have Terrion Arnold, and you got the freshman here in Traquan Fagan. So that's going to be fun right there. Also, with Malachi Moore back, has he returned to that freshman form in terms of being healthy and being able to stay on that field? Because if he's regained some of that freshman form that he had in 2020, you could have him at nickel and Brian Branch at safety, or you can have Malachi at nickel and Branch at safety, and have DeMarco Helms and dime. It's just so much you could do there.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's so much you can do there with so much talent back. But with this group, how elite can this secondary be with a lot of returning pieces?
I mean, they have a lot of stars next to these guys' names, especially between just Kool-Aid and Elias alone. And I think it will be Kool-Aid and Eli Ricks. I think those two will be the starters. Like you said, Nick Saban doesn't just go into the transfer portal to get a guy to sit on the bench. That's just not going to happen, especially when you're getting someone from LSU who proved to be as talented as he was.
I mean, 4 picks as a freshman.
Yeah, I know as a freshman. I know 2021, I mean, I think he only played like 6 games, but honestly, for almost all his LSU tape, I'd almost just wipe the slate clean. They were a disaster the past 2 years, especially just from a coaching staff alone. And I think Kool-Aid, I think he really, he showed some flashes of being really good last season. And like you brought up with Malachi Moore and Brian Branch, I think that's going to be the real competition to look at this spring because, I mean, they didn't do it in the middle of the year last year, kind of experimenting with them in different kind of positions. They both kind of split time at that star spot. And I don't know does Alabama want to do that again this year? Or did they just want to play one guy and just figure it out and have someone get into a rhythm? I think that's something that we really need to find out this spring.
I think what I want to see here, Pat, is to me, as good as DeMarco Hellams played down the stretch of 2020 and then down the stretch of this past season, I've always felt like he's been out of position. To me, with his makeup, he fits more of the dime linebacker, playing more so close to the action. And when I look at a free safety type, I see more of Malachi Moore there or Brian Branch there. I think the biggest thing for fans is getting both on the field at the same time, because when they saw that in 2020, Branch and Moore seemed to play really well off of each other, especially when they're both on the field. So if Saban, Pete Golding, Travaris Robinson, Charles Kelly, if these 4 can find a situation where as coaches, if they can get Branch and Moore on the field at the same time and have them play well together and feed off of each other, I think fans would be really happy just to see that.
Yeah, I think the other thing to keep in mind, too, is that DeMarco Hellams, we're going to have a full year, healthy year from DeMarco Hellams this upcoming season because he sprained that ankle early at the end of fall camp. He missed the Miami game, I believe. And then he just kind of bothered him the entire season. But he still put in some pretty solid games, even with the ankle sprain all year.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, could you imagine a healthy DeMarco Hellams, dime linebacker, coming down, just laying folks out, and then you've got either a Malachi Moore at safety or Brian Branch at safety, just having them both on the field at the same time, just patrolling back there. The secondary could be really fun if all of these things fall into place.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the one making these decisions because they're all tough.
they are all something to deal with. But, folks, spring practice here back in full swing. Will Anderson spoke today on the defense. He's excited about it. He's energized about it. We are as well. But we're going to go to a break here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. When we get back, we go to the phone lines to grab your calls, your thoughts, your chats, your interactions. We get into a discussion, a conversation with you, the Bama fans, right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And we are back into the action here, folks, from the break on a Monday. Getting that work week started for you correctly. Spring practice back. in full swing for your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Happy to have you guys in here checking us out. We got to shout out McConaughey, Big Bad McConaughey that walked in here with that Ben Franklin, that $100 donation, the Super Chats. Appreciate the love there coming from McConaughey, helping us out here on the show. We go to the phone lines to take your calls. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Oh, it's Monday. Don't make a mistake. Everybody go by and get some on Emily's pound cake. Listen, rat-a-tat-tat, I got my bat. Drop your money in the hat. Listen, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Oh, ring that bell. Get the hottest content on the streets. It's called In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Boy, he's on fire tonight. Stephen, what is going on in Birmingham, Alabama?
Well, what's going on, my man Waylon? Is spring practice back in full swing after having one day of practice on Friday, March 11th. The players got a full week out for spring break, and today they get back to action full swing. It was good hearing from Bryce Young, good hearing from Will Anderson. Both guys have turned the page from the championship loss to Georgia, but they are ready for spring. These guys are ready for the coming fall.
Yeah, I heard the comments today. They're looking good, sounding good. They ready to go here and make up for what the Georgia loss we had last year. We got to get that bone from that dog boy and crack him over the top of the head and make him go back in that dog house and just quail up back there and never come out again. But all right, everybody's looking good. TDA, I tell you, the chat, all y'all, it takes every one of y'all to make this show the hottest show on the streets, the number one show in the world, number one show on YouTube, everywhere. Y'all doing a great job. Y'all looking good. Y'all stay safe in these storms tomorrow. Let's try to meet back here on Wednesday and have another spectacular show. I love all y'all. I'm out of here. I love all y'all. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate Waylon here starting us off on a Monday with that call from the president of the TDA, in my own words, Blue Wrench Gang Fan Club. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Big Steve, it's Tobias calling from Fresno, sir. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great, my man. Heard from Bryce Young today. Heard from Will Anderson today. They're ready for spring. They're ready for next season. I'm just ready to get this ball kicked off.
Yes, sir. Me too. And that's what I was actually calling about, Steve. This Bryce Young, man, I'm so impressed with this kid. Like, he's cerebral. He's a thinker. You can tell that he processes deeply, and that's what you need in a quarterback. You need somebody that's kind of creating. And I get the sense, and they talked about it last year, that he's in there with, as he calls him, OB, and they're creating together. And I think that's going to pay off this year, because I think he's going to take a step in his leadership role. I do believe that some of these receivers that weren't on point last year, on and off with practice and stuff like that, I do believe it's the quarterback that can really reel them in and say, hey, that's not the way we do things. I need you to be on point. Your shot is coming up. And it sounds like he's taking that step. And I'm really excited about what he said about that Jamar Gibbs, that kid from Georgia Tech. Man, I'm like pumped up. It sounds as though that kid had a great first practice. And, you know, it's not lost on me that B-Rob, man, I think all of us was rooting for B-Rob, because anybody that's in the system that long and had paid their dues. And, man, I think B-Rob is an awesome running back. I wouldn't use the word dynamic when I think of B-Rob. I think consistent. He'll sustain for you. He'll get you the tough yard when you need it. That's why some of us last year was a little irritated with OB, as he's called, when he wouldn't hand him the rock in short distance, situations. But This kid sounds like he's dynamic. And I don't know, Steve. I mean, you're closer to it than I am, but it sounds as though with the dynamic receiver that's coming in, it sounds like they've rekindled their relationship, him and Bryce, and because they had one previously, and now with this running back coming in, I'm pumped up. Now I forget what's the name of your sidekick, the gentleman that was just on. Robin, what's his name? Your sidekick. Pat, great guy. When you were asking about defense, I think we all know DJ Dale is not, I'm not diminishing. He's a great guy, so I don't want him to listen to this and think Alabama fans are poo-pooing him. But he just doesn't bring that stop in the middle. And so someone's going to have to step up and be that rock in the middle that dead to rights, you're not running on Alabama. If that doesn't happen, I still think with a dynamic offense, we can do some damage. But without that middle, you can say what you want about the safeties, cornerbacks, which I believe all are going to be locked down. But if we don't shore that middle piece up, it's going to be tough. Now, last thing I want to say about Bryce, he reminds me, man, of Jalen Hurts in terms of his calm demeanor. And let's not forget that we would have another national. I mean, Jalen had us ahead in that game against Clemson. Now, to the defense's defense, it was the lack of offense all game that tired out our defense to where we would lose with 2 seconds on the clock. But I'm just saying that it feels like Jalen Hurts with a more dynamic arm plus the ability to make magic. I hope he puts on a little weight, though. With that said, I love the show. I hope everybody pushes the show out. We need more subscribers so that this show can go to the top. Also, please give in the chat. When I get off, Steve, I'm going to drop it. Whoever dropped that 100, I'm not going to be beat today. So anyway, have a great evening show. I appreciate you and continue to roll tide.
Appreciate my man Tobias out of Fresno for that call right there. And I enjoyed Bryce today. I enjoyed Will today. I'm just looking forward to these next practices of spring ball down the line leading up to the 8A game. We're going to take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Roll Tide, Mr. Stephen Smith. It's your boy Chris with Ballard Sports Media calling from Coleman. How you doing?
Chris, doing great, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's tough to shake off the loss last week in basketball, but you credit all the players, you credit Coach Nate Oates and everything, and we wish the best of luck to all the other teams. But man, how about spring practice getting started? I'm sure, obviously, being a month out from the spring game, wanted to really call in and ask. I mean, I'll have to go back because I know you guys do stuff even outside of these live streams and you talk a lot and put coverage out. But I'm hearing some great things about the transfers and Eli Ricks and Jamar Gibbs. But are there any freshmen from this past recruiting class that we just picked up that stand out?
Well, from the 2022 class, let's see. So far, I haven't heard much on the freshmen, but they're in the battles as well. When you look at the secondary, Traquan Fagans is right there. Where the corners are concerned, he's got freakish range and championship pedigree. You look at Jeremiah Alexander and Giot Campbell at outside linebacker. Both of those two have a chance with what they can put on the field. Jaheim Otis on the defensive line, he dropped 15 pounds before spring ball started. So you have to look at him. You have to kind of look at Curtis Perry because both of those two can bring some thump on the defensive line. That's going to be tough on them because of how deep the rotation is up front and the depth up there. But if they can crack that rotation, Otis and Perry could be pretty nice right there.
I like that sound, man. And especially, I don't know what the big position group we need to focus on is. I mean, obviously Nick Saban sees it as everybody step your game up, everybody go out there, do your best, and everybody together as a team. But I know what kind of held us back last year was we lost a few key guys from that 2020 team on the offensive line, and now we bring guys in. You got the Brockmeyer twins. You bring in, who else? J.C. Latham. The offensive line is really what I want to watch this year. I know Bryce is good. I know that we have some good receivers stepping up, and Ajay Hall and Holden, and there's a couple guys there. I'm interested to see guys like Gibbs get out there, but I'm excited for the season. Obviously, a long way to go. We still got stuff ahead, like, media days and everything. But, man, I think the defense brings a lot back, especially leading with Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. We can have a great defense, get back to the Bama standard there, and if we can fix the offensive line and have those young guys that have that experience get better, help Bryce Young out, help create big plays downfield, I think we got a really good shot at the season.
Absolutely. My man Chris from Coleman Ballard Sports Media, definitely appreciate him for that call there. And just going back to freshmen that can make an impact here, I forgot, wide receiver, keep your eyes on Aaron Anderson in the slot. Now, I know JoJo Earl back with experience, Christian Leary back with experience, but the more I watch Aaron Anderson, the 5-star from Etna Carr High School in Louisiana, this kid can flat out burn. He can flat out go. So keep your eyes on him. Guys, shout out to Tobias Brookins, my man Tobias from Fresno. Dropping in that, let's see here. Dropping in that, he got that $100 in the super chat. So he sat there and matched mechanic a little bit here. Appreciate the love there coming from my man Tobias Brookins. But it's so good to have spring football in full swing, back in action, and just going back to something that Chris mentioned, the offensive line. I think the biggest thing for the fans, for you guys, is who mans down both offensive tackle spots. That's the biggest question. Who takes right tackle? Who takes left tackle? Both of your guards come back with experience in Javion Cohan and Emil Ekiyor Jr. But who takes that mantle, right, and locks up left tackle, locks up right tackle, and ensures that the number of sacks that Bryce Young took a year ago, 39, that number is significantly decreased in the upcoming season. But we go to a quick topic right here, and this one continuing with Alabama in the NFL, and this one's on Rashawn Evans, of whom played for the Crimson Tide from 2014 to 2017, a former 5-star from Auburn High School. He was a two-time national champion, 2015 and 2017, a three-time SEC champion, 2014 through 2016. He was drafted in the first round of the 2018 venue by the Tennessee Titans, but after 4 seasons in Tennessee, he is now on the move, looking for a new NFL home. Evans is visiting with the Jacksonville Jaguars on tonight, so we'll see if the Jaguars become the latest home here for Evans, but he's trying to get himself onto a different NFL team here after 4 seasons in Nashville with the Titans. It's been crazy when you look at pro football free agency, especially where a lot of these, or quite a few of these, Crimson Tide players, former players, are concerned. But hopefully Rashawn Evans finds him a good spot. But we take a break right here, folks, on Touch That Down. When we get back, we discussed the conversation from one Bryce Young. He's turning the page from the national championship loss to Georgia and focused on getting Alabama back to the title game in the coming fall, but starting off with a good spring. So we'll talk Bryce Young and dissect everything he said from today's presser right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back into the action here, folks, from the break on a Monday, number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Spring practice back in full swing here for your Crimson Tide. And before we get into the second topic of conversation, discussing what Bryce Young said today, we got the practice footage from the second day of the spring session. Coach Saban, the guys out there on the field. So check out the footage here from the second spring practice. Bama back from the break.
2, 3, 4, 5 on your feet. Hey, back. Hey, go. Work tight. Good. Sir, go. Get around. Shuffle. All right, we're shuffling. Working through the bags. My eyes are up the whole time. Don't need to look down. Sir, go. Good. That's all right. Pick them up, put them down. Sir, go. Work. Good. Sir, go. Work, man. Good. Sir, go. Work your feet. Sir, go. Work. Good. Sir, go. Go, Bennett. Good. We're going. Let's go. Sir, go. Good. All right, 2 shots each. Sir, go. Next up, let's go. I'm on my hips, and then my feet will come, and my eyes will come. It's on you now. All right, sir. Good. Good. Right there. That's it. Good. That's it. Good. I got them hips. Inside hand. Eyes up. Get your eyes up. Better, Quinn. Good. That's it, campaign. That's it. Do it again, come on. That's better. Two gaps. Good rep. Good.
Ready? Squeeze. Good. That's it. Good. Now listen, don't panic. if he gets his hat inside of ours, because we can squeeze them in.
Good. Point to the head. Good.
These guys don't know how to do Ross? What are they? Fall back. Hit. Oh, there. Good. Hey. Fall back. Reroute. That's it. Don't drift. Blue 12. Blue 12. Say go. Play.
Boy, oh boy, if that does not get you revved up for Alabama football, I don't know what will. Nothing like watching spring practice right there. All the coaches out there, Coach Saban looking good at 70 years old, moving around. Players getting their thing done here. Crimson Tide back full swing when it comes down to spring practice. Now, keep it locked right here to Touchdown Alabama magazine on YouTube, because following the show, we will be providing news and notes and a breakdown of what took place from today's practice. So you definitely do not want to miss that. So keep it locked right here for the breakdown of today's practice right after the show here. But we get into now, Bryce Young spoke today. Will Anderson spoke first, but Bryce Young took the podium today talking to reporters about just what his expectations are for the spring and the upcoming season, as he is in his second year as the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, also the single-season school record holder in terms of passing yards, touchdown passes, and total touchdowns. And, the one thing he mentioned today was he is turning the page on the 2021 season and how it ended in the loss to Georgia in the national championship game. He is looking forward to this spring. He's way more focused on this spring and the upcoming season. He's put so much more emphasis on communication and pre-snap read, post-snap reads, his progressions, making sure everybody from running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen, everybody is on the same page, and that's his focus. He talked about how losing to Georgia, that hurt him a lot. That hurt him an awful lot. He went through emotions of, the game itself and having that inner self-disappointment or inner self-anger, but then he had to kind of snap out of that and put the focus on controlling what he can control and what can I do to improve and get better and put myself, most importantly my team, in the best possible situation to compete and go after a national championship. So I'm really excited to see what Bryce Young does this spring and step it up even more so into that leadership role. But he mentioned how excited he is, super excited that being, to be back with Bill O'Brien, to have Coach OB, I guess they're trying to give him some street cred here, to have Coach OB back for his second season as offensive coordinator. Contrary to popular opinion said, get O'Brien out of here. Popular opinion said, pack the bag, pack the kids, pack the wife, put the ball on a train, get them far away from Tuscaloosa as possible. But Coach Saban decides, let's hold on to Bill O'Brien for another season. Bryce Young talked about, it's crucial that O'Brien is back with me. We're great on the field together. We're great off the field together. We create well together. Like, Coach OB means something to me. And to have him back with me, this is a big deal. And I've also said this. Maybe it was more so Doug Marrone than Bill O'Brien. I know, once again, that's not necessarily a popular belief, but maybe it was more so Marrone, because when your offensive line can't stop a nosebleed, it doesn't matter what the play call is. If the offensive line can't block, your play calling is not going to work anyhow. So, maybe it was more so on Marrone. So we'll see here in a second year of having O'Brien back. And you look at when Jim McElwain, when Lane Kiffin, when Steve Sarkisian all entered their second seasons in the program as offensive play callers. What happened? A national championship happened. What happened? A Heisman Trophy winner happened in their second seasons. What happened? Big success happened. So we will see what Bill O'Brien does here in year 2, but Bryce Young, super excited, very excited to have him back, calling the offensive plays with that familiarity there in pocket. But what you as fans are excited about is the things that Young said about the two offensive transfers, that being Jermaine Burton at wide receiver and my man Jamar Gibbs at running back coming from Georgia Tech. And this is awesome right here, because Gibbs earned the honors, high accolades, high points during the entire fourth quarter program. Gibbs dominated the fourth quarter program. That's a big deal right there, because Bama hasn't had that dynamic element of a force at running back since Najee Harris. Brian Robinson was good. Brian Robinson was a power back. But Najee Harris, more dynamic. Josh Jacobs, more dynamic. Kenyon Drake, more dynamic. And Jamar Gibbs gives you that type of player, in a sense of he's not only power in between the tackles, running well behind the pads, but he's pure speed, pure acceleration, pure burners, eating away the angle from linebackers and defensive backs in open space. Then what he provides to you as a pass catcher, that's really, really huge also, that safety valve out of the backfield. Then what he can also bring from a kickoff return aspect, maybe even a punt return aspect. We're talking 1,800 all-purpose yards and 7 touchdowns at Georgia Tech. It's a very big deal here when you talk Gibbs. So for Bryce Young to bring up, he's very dynamic, he's very quick, he's very fast, he's a very big-time pass catcher. I like what he brings out of the backfield. Now, he's happy with the whole running back room, but to see him talk about Gibbs in the way that he did, that's a big deal there. And then for Jermaine Burton, these two have had a relationship going back to those high school camps in California. It sparked up right there. And now with Burton transferring to Tuscaloosa from the Georgia Bulldogs, you're starting to see more of that chemistry and that connection and that thing blossom there between quarterback and receiver. So that's fun there as well. And the first practice of spring ball, March 11th, Saban said that all 3 transfers, since we're talking about these two offensively, Gibbs and Burton, both of these 2 guys, impressive that first day of practice. So to see not only Coach Saban harping on them, but now Bryce Young, your leader, your trigger puller, your quarterback, harping on Gibbs and Burton, it just makes you even more excited to watch what both of these two continue to do in spring ball, and particularly the A-Day game. But for Bryce, it's just going to be outstanding just to watch this young man's growth and how he builds that rapport with all of the teammates and how he builds that rapport with the offensive line, with the running backs, with this young room of receivers where they have to prove I can make plays when my number is called upon. I can step up and help my quarterback when Young needs me to catch this football, to run the right route, to get open, to be special out there on the field, because Bryce Young has a lot of new, fresh, different pieces around him. Not saying that these pieces are not talented, because they are, but these pieces have to build a level of consistency with each other. So having Young develop that continuity or chemistry with those guys offensively going to be fun to see, because he wants to make sure everybody is on the same page, and him taking that vocal role there as a second-year starting quarterback. But offensively, it's going to be fun to watch this team. It's going to be really good to see the numbers that this group can put up, and the play calling and the creativity that can happen here with this group. But we go to a break right here, folks. Won't touch that dial. When we get back, we return to the phone lines to grab your calls, your thoughts, your chats, your interactions, a conversation with you, the Bama Nation. We're coming back after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
Chris Rogers, 2009 national champion. You are listening to the baddest, when I say the baddest, sports show in the state of Alabama. In my own words, you know, yours truly, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Don't touch that dial.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwellSports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian or Jamar.
As we're back inside from the break to the action here, folks, on the number one show in the streets here, talking your Crimson Tide football news in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. The Crimson Tide returned to spring practice on today after a week off for the break. Got a chance to hear from Bryce Young. It was fantastic hearing from the junior quarterback and the junior outside linebacker, that being Will the Terminator Anderson. Looking forward to seeing what both of these two and the entire team does here in spring practice, and most importantly, the upcoming season. But before we go to the phone lines to take your calls, call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to get your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. Kind of interesting how our own Justin Smith, lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, he dropped this here on Twitter, and it caught my attention on Jihad Campbell, who wears number 30 for Alabama in spring practice. He was working with inside linebackers today with coach Pete Golding, so that's intriguing here. Jihad Campbell can play inside linebacker. He can also be worked as an outside backer. He's very versatile. So his career could start inside. It could start outside, but I think it may start more inside. We'll see. Saban likes to cross-train linebackers. Pete Golding, as the defensive coordinator, doesn't mind cross-training guys either, but I just thought it was interesting seeing Giot Campbell work with the inside group on today. Going back to the practice footage, got a chance to watch some of Ty Simpson rocking that number 15, throwing the ball there in practice to wide receivers. That's going to be a fun, entertaining competition there for that primary backup job behind Bryce Young between Jalen Milroe, who's got a lot to prove here in his second year in the system, and Ty Simpson, the hotshot 5-star freshman from Tennessee. So definitely keeping your eyes there on that one. But Giot Campbell, the versatility he showed, and I mean, John, just going back to look at that practice footage, they did some drills that, you know, when we were out there as the media shooting these practices, we were used to seeing, you know, working through the bags and hitting those tackle dummies and knocking out the graduate assistant as you're hitting the tackle dummies. So they were doing some stuff that, you know, when we were out there live in the practices getting that footage, it's good to see them still continuing to do those things. I would like to be back out there again. I mean, I know they're still taking the protocols from the coronavirus, but just would like to be back out there with the camera, getting those videos, getting those shots personally to show to you, the Crimson Tide fan base. But hey, it is what it is. When they feel like getting us back out there again, I guess the communication staff will get us back out there again. But until then, once again, folks, 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Steve, what's up, man? This is Jay from Sheffield.
My man, Big Tom Jay, what's happening with you?
Making it, man. Y'all all right today?
Man, it's been good, man. We're back out here, spring practice. Bryce Young spoke. Will Anderson spoke, so it was good.
Steve, we got mismatches all over the field. There should be no reason why they should let that man Bryce orchestrate the offense from start to finish every game. There's too many mismatches all over the field. Gibbs ain't the only one that can come out the backfield and catch a run. Every running back we got can do that. We need to see some of the back shoulder fades to these big receivers we got. That's a mismatch. We need to see some of these quick slants with these little speedy receivers we got. That's a mismatch. Defense, ain't nobody. I mean, we got the best defense probably Bama gonna have, you know, in the next 5-6 years, man. You got too many leaders, too many returning players, and too many eager young guys that want to play too. You got to let these folks turn loose, Steve. These folks got to turn loose and turn up, man.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it's all on the players. It's the coaches, man. Coaches got to put these folks in better positions, man. Bill O'Brien was garbage last year. We all know that. He got to be better. Pete, too.
Jay, I hope they're hearing you, Jay. I really hope they're hearing you right now. Appreciate my man Jay from Sheffield calling in right there. I hope they're hearing Jay right now. The good points there from Jay. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on with you? How you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steve? It's Elijah from Jersey. How you feeling tonight?
Doing good, man. Got a chance to hear from Bryce Young, Will Anderson. So having a good day. Good day.
I was just taking a look at your video, man, and the practice today, and man, that boy Jalen Milroe, man, he built like a beast to be a quarterback, man. He
built like a full tank, like an armor tank.
Yeah, man, he don't look like no quarterback, man. He looked like Megatron or something out there with the ball in his hand, you know. But he looked good throwing it, you know. He definitely, I got to say, he looked good throwing it, and the receivers look good catching it. But, you know, we looking at it right now, no pads on, no competition, nobody in the face, things like that. So when that comes into play, we'll really be able to get a good read on who can do what. But I would really like to see this young man get the opportunity to run the offense in its entirety, you know, not just get in there and quarterback draws and quarterback runs and option plays. Don't limit the man. You know, I want to see him get in there and work the whole offense just like if he was, Bryce Young or somebody. one of the other things I want to just, touch on with you about is the Alabama defense. And I think Tobias said it as good as you're going to say it, as good as you're going to hear it. If we cannot stop the run, nothing else matters. It don't matter what type of defensive backs we got, what type of linebackers. If that front four, and I should have specified that, if that front four cannot man up in the trenches and get off those blocks and stop the run, it don't matter who we got at linebacker. It don't matter who we got in the secondary. They have to do their job, and I want to see who's going to step up. I want to see who's going to be that Deron Payne. I want to see who's going to be, Ryan Anderson, them guys were on the outside, and like Tim Williams and his guys was on the outside. But if you think about it, all those guys can play the run, back in the day. I got my question about middle linebacker with Toa. To me, he's still, I would like to see more out of him. But maybe with a year under his belt, this year he could come in firing on all cylinders. But, I just think that defensive line, out of every position on the defense, I believe they got the most to prove. If they don't man up, because Alabama has a standard, and we all expect that standard. It doesn't have to be perfect, no, but we don't expect people to come in here 140 guys getting 100 yards 100 yards a game or whatever. We don't expect that. When you run the ball on Alabama, we expect it to be 2-yard game, 3 at the most, not guys bursting down the field for 10, 15-yard games. That ain't what we accustomed to. People say we spoiled. I call it we have a standard. You might pass on us, but you ain't supposed to sit up here and run the ball on us, not running down our throats. And we just have to get back to that physical toughness, like you said. Who's going to be that nose guard to step up and control the point of attack? Who's going to be that guy? As far as the offense, I feel it's just a timing thing. Once Bryce Young gets the timing down with these other receivers, it's going to click like never before, because we got the talent. It's just getting comfortable. Everybody getting comfortable with each other. And it might take a game or two, so people need to just relax. It might take a game or two for Bryce to get really comfortable in a game time situation with these young receivers. And then he'll be back to clicking on all cylinders. He got an escape guy in the back with Gibbs. You can always dump it off to him out the backfield. So I'm not really worried about the offense. My concern this year, and I know a lot of people might disagree, but my concern is the defense. Because last year's defense really didn't live up to that Alabama standard that I'm used to seeing. But, everybody got their own opinion. But I would like to see that kid, though, that Campbell kid, at inside linebacker, because I believe Alexander is going to hold it down on the outside. Let me know what you think about that, Steve.
Appreciate that call that coming from my man Elijah from Jersey. And so defensively for me, I think the defensive line is the group with the most to prove, because when you become so used to having those guys that were just ferocious and their energy didn't stop and their motor didn't stop in terms of not just getting after the quarterback, but stopping the run. Like, I remember Alabama was known for having the giant wall of Null. You ain't finna run. And that giant wall of Null was guys like Davin Tomlinson, guys like Jonathan Allen, guys like Deron Payne, guys like Ashawn Robinson, guys like Jaron Reed. That was the giant wall of you are not finna get through this. And I know Bama fans long to have the return of having that type of wall on the defensive line. And it starts with those guys. Can those guys get that dog out of them? Or is it a situation where we see some younger faces, maybe a freshman or two, that may have more so of that dog in them, that you're going to have to put that player on the field? So defensive line, in terms of playing up to the standard, they're playing up to where you know that they're capable of playing to. Yes, the defensive line has the most to prove. Appreciate Elijah there for that call. We're going to go to a topic here, and this topic is on one Kool-Aid McKinstry in that defensive secondary. He dropped a little hype video to get us ready for his sophomore season in Tuscaloosa. McKinstry showed flashes last year. 25 tackles, a tackle for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass breakup. His first career interception came against Mercer. Kool-Aid had some good moments in 15 games, but, is continuing to get better and improve and being taught by former Alabama safety Justin Woodall on the fine details of the game. Now, he's in the competition with Kyrie Jackson, Terrion Arnold, and Traquan Fagans for that opposite corner position across from Eli Ricks. So it's going to be fun to see Kool-Aid put more of his game together, more of the elements together there from the corner position. He's got some toughness. He's got some physicality. Want to see him get a little bit more speed in him, but there are qualities there that I like about Kool-Aid. So we'll take this call here, though. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's up, man? Uncle Charles, man.
Uncle Charles back in the building. What's going on, man?
Man, I can't call it, man. I can't call it. I don't even go out the door when the wind is high. But let me check it right now. It's looking good. I might leave in a few minutes. But let me just say this, man. I'm not worried about Alabama Christian. I'm not worried about Nick Saban. Yes, the defense didn't go up to the Alabama standard. We get all that. But Nick Saban is a hell of a coach. You got to understand, Nick Saban was like my grandma back then. She did everything from scratch. Homemade cakes, homemade macaroni and cheese. She did all that, everything from scratch. And that's what Nick Saban's going to do. He's going to remake this defense from scratch. And we got the man for the plan. But let me just say this about all you other teams out there, all you other college teams out there, like Texas and Oklahoma and all around the Syracuse and all that. Well, you know what? I understand y'all want to get up to the top. We already been there, and we're going to get back there again. But people up north, you just think people down south are real slow. Really? Do you think so? We got the best food down south. We get the best hospitality, and we don't mess with wild animals. I wish you would have told that man down in Florida there, when he stuck his head in that cage and that crocodile decided to bite his fingers off like some chicken nuggets. And now he can't point you in the right direction. Or could it be that lady up in Jersey City had a baby orangutan, and he decided to wait till she goes to sleep to steal her keys, her purse, and her car for a little R&R. But let me just tell New York this. I love down south. I love Alabama Christmas time. But you can rest assured I won't come back to your fast city again. Got on that subway, man, my auntie said, just calm down, everything gonna be fine. Until I looked in the back and I seen a big old gopher rat sitting in the seat. Just ride along with everybody, listening to the music. Yes, that's what he did. And that was the end of my trip to New York City. No worry, Alabama family, we'll be just fine. Nick Saban, as long as he is in charge, as long as he's walking out there with the swag on 250 with that Freddy Krueger hat, you ain't got to worry no more. And that's all I got to say, and I love you, bro.
Appreciate Uncle Charles calling in, man. Always a good conversation with him. Laughter, entertainment, it don't come no better. But Uncle Charles calling in here. We're going to take a break here, folks. Don't touch that down when we get back. John, I did a poll on the TDA YouTube site about the game that you will have your undivided attention on in the upcoming season. And with 2,000 votes here in the poll, you will be amazed at who got the overwhelming percentage of the vote. We'll talk about that poll and getting you ready for the 2022 season after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And folks, we are back in here from the break with number one form, number one ticket for your Crimson Tide. Football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate you guys for calling in, texting in, writing in, donating in, making us laugh, having this be your show, your platform, your space, your network for Crimson Tide football. Gotta love Uncle Charles, man. The orangutan still in a woman's car, purse, everything. Like, man, somebody get that orangutan, man. That thing is going crazy. But before we get into the final topic of conversation, gotta remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So we got you taken care of right here. All of your clothing, fashion, swagger, culture needs of all things Bama football. Check out TDAwear.com. Link in the description. Get yourself right for spring football and the upcoming season. That's TDAwear.com. Continue showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But John, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, I put up a poll on our YouTube channel for the Crimson Tide Nation. It was a poll about the 2022 Alabama football season and, which matchup is going to have your undivided attention. And the answer choices were, I think I had Texas A&M in there, Texas in there, LSU in there, and Auburn in there. And in 2,000 votes, Texas A&M won overwhelmingly with nearly 80% of the vote. Nearly 80% of people had Texas A&M. Now, when you look at just me personally, I feel like there will be 3 games of the utmost essence. There'll be 3 games where you're going to go, where were you when Bama was on the field playing this team? There'll be some intriguing teams. There'll be some intriguing matchups. There'll be some interesting games. But there'll be 3 games where it's going to have you going, where were you when Bama was on the field playing this particular opponent? And for me, I think those games will be Texas A&M, Texas, and LSU. Those 3. Of course, you can always throw Auburn in there, the rivalry, the Iron Bowl, but I would go Texas A&M, and LSU. And so the reason why Texas A&M first is Bama fans want revenge against Jimbo Fisher. They want revenge against the Aggies. I mean, last summer, Jimbo Fisher was at the Touchdown Houston Club meeting, that ordeal, and a question was thrown to him about, are you going to beat Alabama when Nick Saban retires? Will it take Nick Saban retiring for you to finally beat Alabama? And Jimbo Fisher responds with, no, we're going to beat his butt while he's still there. And Jimbo did a whole bunch of talking in the offseason, but he managed to get the win over Alabama. Granted, it was by 3 points, 41-38. Granted, Alabama had turnovers and unfortunate bounces in the game, but Jimbo Fisher got the win there, and with that win came the $30 million of NIL that he got to bring in the number 1 recruiting class in the country for 2022. And as we all know, hype makes for great television. Hype makes for great football. Hype makes for outstanding conversation. Case in point, we all remember when Jimbo Fisher was at Florida State back in 2017. And people are like, oh my goodness, this Alabama-Florida State, this 1-3 season opener in Atlanta. It's going to be the greatest season opener of all time, the GOAT of season openers. Jimbo Fisher's on the same level as Nick Saban. Y'all saw how that game was hyped all the way up. There was so much conversation. And when a game is hyped all the way up, especially when it comes down to media prognosticators putting an opposing team above Alabama. U.S. fans go, oh man, now I gotta watch the game. Now I gotta get a ticket. Now I gotta see this because they're hyping up so-and-so over Alabama. I gotta check out this game. We saw this in 2017. Now, Alabama beat the brakes off Florida State, in that matchup. But we have seen where hype makes for intriguing football games. And after what happened a season ago, U.S. fans looking forward to this matchup against A&M in Tuscaloosa, Bryant-Denny Stadium. Hopefully, this will be a night game in T-Town. So, I kind of think back to Johnny Manziel, 2012, was with A&M. A&M shocked Alabama in Tuscaloosa, 29-24. And in the following year, 2013, despite Alabama beating A&M at Kyle Field, 49-42, Johnny Manziel still had some great moments in that game. But the 2014 matchup, remember 2014 where A&M came into Tuscaloosa with all of his hype, and folks were talking about Kenny Hill for Heisman, Kenny Hill. Kenny Hill got beaten like a pinata, and Alabama just beat A&M down 59-0 in that game, and Blake Sims ran haywire. This could be that type of thing this time around, where A&M comes in, so much hype after the win a season ago. It comes to Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban, this team has this game circled on the calendar. Just watch. It could be a beatdown in Tuscaloosa between Alabama and A&M, but that's just the first kind of seismic game. Number two, I look at Alabama and Texas, and the reason why is Steve Sarkisian wants to show the Longhorn fan base it made the right move hiring him to the program. And Sarkisian also has three of Alabama's former coaches on his staff in Kyle Flood, Jeff Banks, and Bo Davis. And then you look at guys like Keelan Robinson and Jaleel Billingsley, both at Texas. So this is an interesting matchup. You go to Austin, second week of the season. Everybody's going to be talking about this game because it's, if Steve Sarkisian get this win, then it was huge for Texas. They made the right hire. They made the right move. They pulled the right strings, and all of this, conversation going here. So Alabama, Texas, that's going to be a big matchup. That's going to be a fun, intriguing, challenging game early, week 2 of the college football season. Keep your eyes on that one. And I guess the reason why I threw LSU in here as the last one would be with Brian Kelly in here from Notre Dame. People say it's hard to win at Notre Dame. It's tough to win at Notre Dame. It's like an Ivy League school. They got the academic stuff. You can't get the best of football players. It's hard to win national championships at Notre Dame. So here comes Brian Kelly to the SEC, to LSU, and what are the people saying? Oh, he should be able to win a national championship now. He's at LSU. He's going to have 5-star recruits everywhere. NIL is in here. He's going to get all the opportunity to win at LSU. And now with Jaden Daniels, the transfer quarterback, dual threat quarterback from Arizona State, coming to the Bayou, that's going to create even more headway. Plus, the matchup's going to be at Death Valley Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge for the upcoming season. So that's why I would look at Texas A&M, Texas, and LSU as the three big seismic matchups here for Alabama. The where were you when this game was being played? Now, Arkansas is going to be an intriguing game. Sam Pittman's done a great job with that program. Ole Miss is going to be a good one with Lane Kiffin still as the head coach, and people are still leery about Pete Golding when he goes up against the best in offensive mind. So Lane Kiffin, that'll be intriguing. Mississippi State should be a bit better this year. I know some of you talked about Utah State's going to be the toughest game. We need to go out here and just beat Utah State down. Make a statement early from the get-go that Bama ain't playing with people. And I agree, you got to make an early statement there against Utah State. A dominant one to open the season, just for me, my opinion. A&M, the Aggies, Texas, LSU, seismic games here on my end. But as always, Bama Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store. If you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store, if you got the Android phone for your audio needs, check us out. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I shall return on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Bama football. Remember, Tide fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're trying to get your hands on the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link found in the description. Also, if you want that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at We Own thefourthquarter.com, that link in the description too. As always, appreciate the man Patrick P. Money Down, breaking news reporter for TDA, sitting in with us on the first topic there to talk Will Anderson and the Bama defense. Appreciate you, the passionate Bama fans, Bama faithful, Crimson Tide family, making this your show, your network, your channel and space to talk Bama football. My man John Ivory in the production studio doing his thing. And until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored. You be sure to grab you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. And as always, you've been listening to In My Own Words.